Association in collaboration with the Chamber, and hopefully they represent the questions that you would ask. We are taking no questions from the floor, but there was input from the community for these questions. So hopefully it hits the ones you had in mind. And we like an informal kind of debate, guys. It's kind of just the way we are in North Miami. You know, most places actually. So if you don't mind, I'll call you each by your first name, and we'll make it nice and informal. And you know, they say we'll cut off microphones. No, we don't cut off microphones. Everybody's pleasant here. We're friendly. We can have different opinions, and we can agree to disagree, but we're a friendly group. The same thing with the audience. So you know, it's kind of hard. Especially if you're really, and we all have advocates and we want somebody, but try your best not to applaud. So I know we had it before, but I know firsthand, I have standing to say this, it is a tough job being the mayor of the city of North Miami. I know that. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for these four individuals, please. And with that, we're going to begin with introductions. And so most of the questions are 2 minutes answers, some are 1, but kind of it's a 2-minute sort of a thing. So whenever we don't know, we say 2 minutes. How long is your opening statements? 2 minutes. How long is your closing statements? 2 minutes, right? We got it. And occasionally we'll have 1 minute. And we have Dave here, you don't see him in the audience, but 30 seconds and 10 seconds. So when you see 30 seconds, you'll see that, and 10 seconds, and then a ring, which means, you know, that's it. But no cutting off microphones, we don't do that. There's always a first time. So we'll go in alphabetical order. We'll begin in alphabetical order, and then for closing, we'll go the other way around. So we'll try and be as fair as possible and try and sort it out with you people so everybody gets to go first, everybody gets to go last, and no one has an advantage. So in alphabetical order, we'll begin with Miamni. You have a microphone? Well, you sure you do. You're going to share it right there with Alex.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I want to thank everyone for being here in order to remain within my 2 minutes. I've taken some notes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Naomi Esther Blemire, and I'm running to be the next mayor of the city of North Miami. I stand before you today as a proud daughter of Haitian immigrants, a woman of faith, and someone who has overcome significant challenges in life. By the age of 18, I lost both of my parents, and as the oldest child, I had the responsibility of raising my 3 younger siblings. At the time, they were 9, 10, and 11. That experience shaped my resilience, my determination, and deep commitment to community. I went on to pursue higher education, studying international business in Europe, in France, Italy, and in Spain. Here in the United States, I have a degree in accounting and a master's in public administration. Learning not only about global economics, but also the importance of strong leadership and vision. I've worked in finance and management for over 20 years and now serve as the commissioner on the North Miami Planning Commission, the elected chairwoman of the Women's Commission, serving over 30,000 women in the city of North Miami, where I have seen firsthand the challenges and the opportunities facing our city. I'm running for mayor because I believe North Miami deserves bold, compassionate leadership that is focused on real solutions for our community. I'm committed to stopping wasteful spending here in North Miami, revitalizing our parks, and creating opportunities for youth enrichment programs. Most importantly, I want to ensure that our city remains a place where families like mine can thrive and build a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our next opening statement, we have, in alphabetical order, Daphne Campbell. Daphne.
My name is Daphne Campbell. I'm a former state representative in Tallahassee for 6 years and a state senator for 2 years. I came to Florida in 1987. I do have 5 children. I'm a registered nurse for 43 years. I had several businesses in the city of Miami. I lived there since 1987. Now I'm running for the Miami mayor because when I was in Tallahassee for 8 years, I brought over $4.5 billion to the city. Like, no one ever done that. So therefore, if I do that, so I'm running for City of Miami to bring more money in the city and to make life of all the residents better. Thank you so much.
We have a few fans out here, but we'll try and keep it down. We have very shy people sitting in the front here. Next opening statement will be Alex Desolme. Alex.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Desolme. I am a 32-year resident of the beautiful city of North Miami. I came here from New York, was born in Haiti, raised in New York, partially North Miami. Came here in 1993, prior graduate of North Miami Middle, North Miami Senior High School. So I am from North Miami, for North Miami, and I've been in elected office for over 10 years. Was the first black city clerk in 2009, was elected in the city of North Miami. Done a lot of work in the space of, in that space as the elected clerk for the city of North Miami. And in 2015, I ran for city council, was elected in District 4, representing District 4, the largest district at that time in our city. And the legislation that I've championed over the past 10 years have always about North Miami. And my record stood, I could tell you about my record, and it's always about working for the people of North Miami. And I want to take the next 2 years to take our city forward, as we have so many different projects, and I'm looking forward to have a fruitful conversation as we move forward to talk about the agenda and how we move North Miami forward. Thank you.
And our next candidate is Hector Medina. Hector.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Hector Medina. It used to be Hector Luis Medina de la Vega, but it didn't fit on the ID in the hospital, so they made me change it. So I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I'm very proud of that. I come from the oldest city in the United States. My playground was at castles and fortresses, and I know all the tunnels, and we had a beautiful childhood there. I'm the son of a school teacher and an executive, and all my brothers and sisters are school teachers, and my mother's sisters are school teachers, and so I come from a teaching school, from a teaching family. I came here in 1979 to this city. I did my internship in what is now the Jackson North, and in 1979 there was too much party here. So I moved to Houston, Texas, and I completed my training there. Then after seeing Miami, I decided to go to New York, and I worked in the South Bronx with the disadvantaged people there, and then eventually I worked with the homeless for 7 years, and I became a superintendent of Hungry Family Shelter, running the Catherine Street Shelter, which is the largest in this nation with 5,000 individuals. After New York, I was recruited, and they took me to Oklahoma, where I was the director of clinical services for Planned Parenthood of Arkansas and Oklahoma. Removing an industrial tractor operating illegally. I didn't quit. I couldn't take the money and just leave from here to nobody's gonna pay our recruiting.
Thank you. So candidates, we have categories, and we sometimes have a little bit of a statement by me. I'll try not to be long-winded, but this is your homeowners association and your chamber that came up with these questions. The first one, the category is police department. So the North Miami Police Department does a tremendous job despite being seriously short-staffed. There are issues with attracting and maintaining personnel. So we'll begin with Naomi, and then we'll work our way down. Naomi, the question is the following, and this will be a 2-minute answer. Remember, 2 minutes is the kind of rule here, occasionally 1 minute. So the question is the following: what are you willing to commit to ensure a fully staffed, fully trained North Miami Police Department?
Well, first and foremost, you have to understand that the issue with hiring more additional police officers is multifaceted. Number one, you have outside entity negotiating the contract with these police officers. And many a times the city is not in a position to actually pay the salary and the benefit package that comes along with it. And so one of my ideas is to supplement policing in the city of North Miami through community policing. There are several cities in Miami-Dade County that offers some kind of training academic program for youth, individuals who have gone through 2 years or more of college, who are not necessarily ready for their profession, but would be interested in some kind of police safety program. And I think that if we go down that route, not only will we be able to supplement the need for more police officers in the city of North Miami, but we will also be able to allow our youth to get on a track to actually coming into the profession, learning about safety, learning about community safety, and partnering with the police department to offer better services to our families. You have to understand that it's not a one-stop shop. There are many ways for us to deal with safety, and I truly believe connecting with community, connecting with those that are young, up-and-coming professionals is one of the ways to ensure that we have more policing in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll repeat the question for each of you. So Daphne, the question is the following: what are you willing to commit to ensure a fully staffed, fully trained City of North Miami Police Force?
Well, I was in Tallahassee for 8 years, serving the great city of North Miami. I brought a lot of money to the city to get more police officers, to get them paid better. So therefore, if I have done this for 8 years, and now I became the mayor, of course, I'm going to have more police on the road from all the residents, and I'm going to keep the residents safe. I'm going to get the community involved in the city with the police officers, just to know their duties, to know what they do to keep us safe. On top of that, if the police officers need more training, and they're already trained anyway, because I'm always endorsed by PBA. For my 8 years in office, I'm endorsed by PBA. On top of that, I passed one of the bills for the police officer in Tallahassee for other officers to get, when they're on the street, sometimes they don't even know if they're coming back. And the pay they're getting paid is very low. They're underpaid. So therefore, I'm always there for police officers' budget in Tallahassee to make sure all the residents are safe, to make sure they do their job, and to make sure the police officers are happy with their salary. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And Alex, I'll repeat the question for you again. And the question is the following: what are you willing to commit to ensure a fully staffed, fully trained City of North Miami Police Force?
Yes, thank you for the question. Madam Senator, I know you mentioned a couple of times that you have put money into Tallahassee, and I've been checking with staff for like a week. So we need to find out where these allocations are, because we haven't received them, but we definitely talking in terms of more. But I am the only person here that is endorsed by the PBA. So the PBA have endorsed, but this time in this race, I am the only one in here that is endorsed by the police. I've always stood with the police. And in addition to standing for the police, currently we have 126 police officers that is budgeted in our 24-25 fiscal year. We currently have 121 officers on the road. Obviously, we need more as the city is growing. We see construction all over. We would need to reach that 1,000 per resident mark eventually, but in terms of the training, fully always supported the police. And also, when we talk about community, I was one of the programs that I'm very, very proud of to support was the CIP. Right after the George Floyd incident, I was able to, with the city council, pass the strongest CIP community investigative board in North Miami, in South Florida. Of course, it was gutted this summer by the Florida legislature. So in terms of policing in the community, yes, I've done it. In terms of supporting the police, I'm the PBA, they have my back. Thank you.
Thank you. You got it.
So I am a former correctional counselor that required at least a master's degree on health or social services. So I'm the only candidate who has some kind of experience on law enforcement. The police department here in North Miami, it's been neglected for many years. You know, they don't get enough equipment to train, they don't get the rotations they want. They get the lowest salary for off-duty police work. You know, and on top of that, the city pays $10 administrative fee of their $85. So the city has treated the police very poorly. That's why our police officers leave. We don't have any retaining qualities, or mainly because they don't get the rotations they require. You know, they need, being a police officer requires that you rotate to the SWAT team, to the bomb squad, and all the other possible things that you can do. So police officers are very proud of what they do. And when they don't get the training, they don't get anything, they don't get the tools to train, they don't get the weapons, the bullets. They need more social training with social workers and psychiatry. And the thing that I have spoken with police officers, 5 chiefs of police are my friends, former chiefs of police, and I have spoken with police officers that are not yet police officers, that are in the academy. So I'm very familiar with what they want. What they want is enough money to survive. We pay the lower salary here in South Florida. You know, so, I mean, that's why they leave. We don't have police officers. Sometimes the city is protected at night by 8 police officers. That's it. So, you know, the police know I have their back. The PBA endorsement is worthless. Because it's a political branch of whoever is in power. So, me having worked with police all my life, you know, as a director of family shelters, you know, I have the police all the time. I have been in court so many times, you know, with child abuse, incest, and all the other things that happen in shelters. So by far, I am the best qualified person to handle the needs of our police officers.
So our next topic is water plant, something that's been a topic in North Miami for a while. The North Miami water and sewage systems are in severe decay. That's not an overstatement. Built in, you know that, built in 1969, the low water pressure has delayed the fire certification of some buildings in the city of North Miami. So we'll begin this time with you, Daphne. We'll go down the line. The question is the following. List at least 2 steps that you would take to build a new water plant.
Every time it's raining outside, it's flooding all over the city. And that's the complaint. Of course, if we have the water plant since 1969, we need to do a lot of changes and repair and change the system. And to do so, we need money. And like I just said earlier, and I'm repeating again, and when I'm in Tallahassee for 8 years, we have something we call water projects. And I did bring a lot of money to the city for water projects. With that money, they could just change the system or repair it, but at least to alleviate the situation in the city with the flooding issues. Because enough is enough. All the residents complaining about it, and especially even when it's the flood so high, you can even put your feet outside from your house. My plans is to make sure I work with stakeholders, I work with other resources to make sure we change the system to alleviate the issue in the city of Miami, the flooding. Thank you.
So Alex, you're next, and the 2 steps that you would suggest, at least 2 steps, to build a new water plant.
Thank you so much for the question. I have been working tirelessly. I made it the priority when I got into office as mayor, because I know the condition. Like I said, I have been in this city for 32 years. I've lived here. None of them can say that. So I do know. And I've been paying a water bill for over 20 years. So I do understand what's going on. I think the senator kind of mixed up flooding with the water plant. You asked about the water plant, correct? The Winston water plant, which was built in 1962. The problem that we have with this plant is it's old, and it's since 20-something years, and I know Mayor Burns and Galvin, who's been the council for 25 years, needed to be replaced, and we have been, we have charged the residents trying to get the money. The bottom line is it just never been fixed. We are at a point now, a crossroad, where we do need it. I think you heard what's happening with the water pressure, not getting water, and then pipes are breaking out because we are 100 years old, almost 100 years old as a city. So my goal and my plan, I've been working tirelessly with this, with the EPA in Washington. The first step that I did do, we beefed up our city lobbying team to make sure that we have the right folks to work with us in Washington, in Tallahassee, because we know Tallahassee would not have that money. When I first became mayor, they told me the plant was going to cost $100 million. I said, okay, we can do that because we have a $40 million we did get from the state. And then that number doubled to 200, now it's almost 300 million. But we were able to secure, and I could almost say in April, the city of North Miami will be applying for $200 million from the EPA, almost guaranteed. So we need the next mayor of North Miami, whoever that person to be, to take my plan and make sure we carry it so that we can get this water plant done for all of us. Thank you.
And Hector, you know the question, your steps, water plant?
So, the water problem is a disaster. There's no fixing. The parts have to be manufactured every time it breaks, and it's about to collapse. We are facing an emergency in the city, and to fix it during an emergency situation, it will cost double to fix. So, the city in the wisdom, in his wisdom, decided to fire the day that the deputy city manager resigned, who was the one who was handling the grant, for the water plant. She resigned, and then they decided to fire the city manager. All those things, you see when you file, and I have done this, when you file a grant with the federal government, everything has to be perfect. They're looking for an excuse not to give you the grant. So every point, every addition, every comma, everything has to be perfect. So you have to put a person in charge that is obsessive and compulsive, and that's the only way to move grants through the federal bureaucracy. So the plant has to be, the whole system, the water and sewage system has to be replaced. So how we do that? In a smaller scale, I had a ranch in Oklahoma. We had to bring water, electricity, a road and all those things. So I have a lot of, it's basically the same thing. You do it by gravity because it's way cheaper, and if you know how to handle because it can get very expensive because the contractors are going to bring you these big projects. So you have to do exactly what we do. We make things simple. The way you complicate things with extra plants and extra pumpings and extra, no, make things simple. Just gravity to get rid of the sewage and bring the grant that is, at this point, is more than $400 million that it will cost to revamp the system. So the water is the most precious thing we have, and we keep giving permissions and grants and giving new buildings, bringing more buildings, and we don't have the resources.
Okay, thank you. And Naomi, the same question, what are at least 2 steps you would take to build a new water plant in North Miami?
Okay, so my understanding is this is not the first time that North Miami is saying we are in a water plant crisis. This is not the first time that North Miami has stated that they have identified the funds for this water plant crisis. The first question is, where is the money? Several years ago, we were in the same position, and we stated that we found the money, and some of the money came from you, the residents. Where is those monies? Where are those funds? And for those who don't know, the mayor mentioned this, but the city applied for a state revolving fund, which is SRF. They gave us the money, and then when they came in to assess and do the accounting and the books of the water department, they said, no, give us back the money, because we do not believe that you have the capability to pay us back. So there needs to be an assessment of this department. There needs to be assessment of the fees, the base fees, that, and including the cost that everybody's complaining about, and let us all get on the same page. Then, when we tell you exactly where we're at, with how we're managing the money that you're paying every single quarter, why your base fees are so high, you understand, breaking it down, then we go to the federal government and we find the funds. Because at the end of the day, no one sitting here is going to want to put back into a pot that they told you you have been putting in and you've seen nothing come out of it.
Okay, so we have a follow-up question in the same vein about the water plant. And the follow-up question is the following, and this is a 1-minute response, please. Some residents in North Miami are actually calling for a building moratorium on any new construction until the new water plant is built. What are your thoughts? And we'll begin with you, Alex.
Yes, to address what Ms. Lemire was saying, there is some money there. We do have, and we always had. The residents, they were collecting money. This was prior to me getting onto the council. That money was spent in terms of using the new system that we have now in terms of the repairing. So there has been money, but the money been repairing the system in terms of fixing it. We need, it's 250 million that we do need. In terms of the questions that you just asked, if you would please repeat that for me.
Sure. The follow-up question is building moratorium. Some residents are calling for a building moratorium until a plant is built.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you could put a moratorium until you have the water plant, because we don't know. Obviously, we do have Anisha Daniels was rationed before she left. Assign Anisha Daniel, make sure this is a priority. We think we're getting this money. We have to get this money, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think that would be a good idea in terms of the city.
Okay, so Hector, you're next, and your follow-up is a building moratorium. Your thoughts on that?
Of course, I called for a building moratorium when I ran the last time for the city council. This is the problem. So they bring all this data and these studies, and they're worthless because the data they pull, first of all, it's very hard to confirm, and they use the worst book that you can use. It is legal, but it's a tiny book that doesn't even make it to 100 pages. So I checked the formulas and I rechecked what they did. The studies are worth it because every time they do a study for a building, it only takes into consideration the effect of that building. But the cumulative effect of all the buildings and 20,000 cars are coming to this area in the next 4 years. 20,000 cars. It took me from North Miami Avenue to here at 4:30 today. It took me 25 minutes because the traffic was so congested. So everybody in the city, everybody is complaining about the amount of buildings. Of course, we need a moratorium. This is the same person who wrote the zoning laws is a lawyer that consults with the developers. So they put a tiny piece of wire and then they put an electric board and they put a windmill or something, and they put these things that cost nothing. And then they get to have less than 1.5 parkings per year.
Thank you. And Naomi, the same question about some residents calling for a building moratorium.
I'm actually not going to plead the fifth. I sit on the planning commission, and I've been on the commission for the last 4 years. Listen, guys, there's 8,000 approved units coming. 8,000. And we're sitting here talking about a water plant from 1962. It would be irresponsible of us to continue to build and not fix our infrastructure. Point blank, period.
And Daphne, again, some residents calling for a building moratorium until the water plant is built, the new one is built. Your thoughts?
Well, like Ms. Naomi just said, it is true. If you have a water plant issues since 1962, and now you're talking about a building moratorium, to me, I think we need to do reassessment of the system, and whatever the residents desire to do for us to move the city forward, exactly, I'm agree with it. That's it.
Began with you. Okay, thanks, Alex. Okay, begin with Hector then. So we're going to switch topics, and we touched on it a little bit, flooding. We all know about flooding, unfortunately. Flooding impacts all residents. Let me just put a period there. You see North Carolina, of all places, literally the whole country. Flooding impacts all of us. So the question is the following, and you have 2 minutes to answer this question, and we'll begin with Hector, I guess. The question is the following. How do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding, especially in the low-lying areas of the city?
The thing with the flooding is that it's getting worse. It's not only because of the sewage system is operating at a very low capacity because it's broken. So we have leaks all over. If you walk the city, for example, you walk in the line where the sewage system is, and I have for 8 years, and you can smell the sewage. You can really smell raw sewage, every other block. So the whole system had to be redone. Studies were conducted, and in the meantime, every time they put a building or a structure, they raise that structure 3 feet, and then they're supposed to retain the water on their building, but they don't. I mean, the perfect example is behind Bank of America, that building that is looking good, but used to flood only behind Bank of America. I know because I wash my car every day, and I will not take it to Bank of America because it was flooded. So now, not only flood in 124, but it flood in the East Street, which is like 10, and then on 123rd, in 3 sides there is flooding. And that's my exit to 125th. So that's one example. You take 34th. It's a disaster what happened to them. The city allowed this builder to, and this is where they were going to put the Walmart. And they have built the storage, and they have built different stores and a laundromat, an industrial laundromat, and they have covered and covered with dirt a perfectly good drainage that was there natural. And by doing that, the third court is always flooded. It is those people living a nightmare every time it rains. If you go and walk on their land, which they have beautiful lots, and that's a beautiful street with beautiful houses, the water is, the soil is completely full of water, and there are mosquitoes all over. So, yeah, we need to, development is welcome, and there's nothing we can do to stop it, but we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place.
Thank you, Victor. And next, Naomi, plans to improve the infrastructure, manage flooding, and especially in the low-lying areas.
So, as the next mayor for the city of North Miami, I definitely will prioritize drainage. Now, with that said, as Dr. Medina just stated, there are some blocks that are experiencing flooding for different reasons. So while we do need to prioritize new drainage, we need to identify those blocks that are flooding in an abnormal way for other reasons, and we need to address those issues. And specifically for third court, it has to do with development. And so we have to look at these situations where you take care of the big problem, but then you actually deal with those small little problems that have become huge problems because we prioritize poor development over people.
Thank you, Naomi. So Daphne, you're next, and the question again is, how do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding, especially in low-lying areas?
I think I sent my plans to everyone this week, and I'm going to read it for you guys here. I was conducting a thorough analysis of flood-prone areas and existing drainage. I was crafting both short-term and long-term strategies to reduce flooding impact. And I was upgrading drainage systems, installing flood barriers, and elevating vulnerable buildings to minimize damage. Solution, what I would do as a solution to make sure I would travel to the state, the federal, to get money to fix the issue of the flooding in the city of North Miami.
Okay, Alex, you heard the question about
Yes.
improvement. Good.
Yes, and if you listen to my opponents very carefully, you will think, you're hearing something, but I don't think they really give you an example in terms of the question, answering the question. It's very simple. Flooding is everywhere. We live in South Florida. We know what's happening, especially if you live in an area that's flooding west of 95, and obviously our folks who live west of 95, they don't experience the same flooding as us. That requires us to work a lot with South Florida water management system, because a lot of these things, especially on 123rd Street near North Bay Shore Drive, we do not manage it as the city. We have to work with these partners, the South Florida Water Management System, and FDOT, who actually controls the road. When you go to Bagel Bar, you see like you need a boat to go in. That's because the water management, the level, we need to, once we know that the storm is coming, we're working with them to make sure that the level is at the right level. But the bottom line is the city is conducting a flood master plan, which is what we will need. So in order for us to, once this master plan is complete, that's what's going to guide us. And it's going to be about $100-something million. Although we know the water plant is $250 million, we know where to get that money. But this flood money, the master plan, once it's done, it's going to be about $100 or plus million. So that we need to look to our federal partners as well to help us in terms of organizing to make sure that we resolve the flooding issue in the city of North Miami.
Good. Everybody went, right? Good? Good. Okay. So now we'll have a different topic here, and this is just a single issue, but an important one. It's Waste Pro. So the city tomorrow night, actually, is considering terminating its contract with Waste Pro for garbage collection. How should the next provider be selected to ensure transparency and fairness? And we'll begin with you, Miamni.
Well, it should be just like any other service that we go out to seek. There should be a bid, it should be presented, we should hear each offer, and the council should vote on it. But also the council should allow the people who have experienced bad services from Waste Pro to come forth and explain their experiences so that we do not bring on a new provider who's going to provide similar services. Okay, so at the end of the day, we don't want to bait and switch. In other words, you just bring another company and we're getting the same four services, right? Let's be very clear on the services that we're getting now, the services that we want, and their capacity to deliver what we want. Thank you very much.
So Daphne, you're next, so it's on Waste Pro, and the question is, how do we ensure transparency, fairness in this?
First, I would get the resident involved with the process. And before we switch from one company to another company, I will bring the first company and do a reassessment to see how can we move forward from private to public. Of course, I'm so happy to hear we're going to end this, because every resident complaining about they're not picking up the trash on time, and it's issues. And we need to put a bid and find out which company is a cost saving for the city, which one is better for the resident as well, and get the resident involved with the process to make sure we choose the right company to represent the residents, because they are the taxpayers.
So, Alex, you heard the question, and basically assuming tomorrow night there's an affirmative vote to change, what do you suggest the next one?
Well, I think the opinion of the vote was we needed to go back and have a wasteful conversation need to continue. It's a complicated matter. It may sound very complicated. Obviously, we're not happy with wasteful, and everybody who knows me on the council and they see we haven't been happy with wasteful. We had the best service in this city when we were providing the service. And that's been done years ago. That's when you was mayor, Jeanette Carr was on there, and the trash was to go. And we didn't even give out the commercial. I think we only had the residential. The commercial was a different thing. So there might be different models on how we do this. But this is not like changing diapers, because you do not have a lot of companies who does these type of things. You see what's going on with Miami-Dade County, with Miramar. When you talk about the waste, it's a big problem. So I think there are things in the contract that if they miss certain things that they gotta pay, different things that we need to do. We have had several meetings with Waste Pro, I think at least 5 times, in terms of one of the things that I do appreciate with them, they do admit their mistake. They don't come in there and trying to, they do know that they have some issue, and from my understanding, we had to give them up until December to do an assessment of them to get their act together, because they were missing some people, some employees and some other things which had nothing to do with us. But in other ways, I think we need to do that and then kind of evaluate in December, we need to evaluate it and figure out if any other companies, there's only maybe 3 or 4 companies that really does this, which one and how this negotiation would be best for the city, because that's a big cost when it comes, because the water bill is tying into the garbage bill as well. So it's a little bit complicated in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And Hector, you know the question.
So, Waste Pro is, they recognize that they made several mistakes, and they're going to try to fix them. I hope they don't terminate the contract tomorrow, even if they have to stay until December, because before you terminate something, you need to have the beginning of something else. So, as bad as Waste Pro can be, especially on District 4, you know, they do more or less complete the garbage pickup. So, of course, I mean, we can open biddings, and if there is 3 companies, there are more companies, you know. So we will get a good responsible company to take over if we need to. But the city opening the new garbage department is not possible. It's too expensive. When we gave away the trucks, or we got rid of the trucks, and then we used to have good service when the city run it. I don't know what happened, but now our service is just adequate. It's not good, but things have to be fixed. But we cannot have a garbage department. It's just too expensive. It's prohibitive. It's just the trucks will cost a fortune, plus the employees, plus their pensions and 401ks and all of those things. It's not possible. So we have to just find a good vendor, like all the cities do, and make sure that the citizens have their input and things are corrected immediately. We don't have to wait. The new company, we have to bring a new company. They sign in with those, particular points in mind.
All right, the next category we're going to go to is communication. Something I know a little bit about. So man, it's a new world, right? We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have social media, we have still radio, we have print, we have all sorts of ways to disseminate information. That said, frankly, I've never heard residents so upset with the city for not being communicated in all parts of the community, all ethnicities. Not easy. It's a different world. It's not easy. So, with the understanding that it is a new world and there are many, many ways to communicate, let me just bring up one other complaint, if I could, that the residents expressed, and that is they want to be told with a little bit of advance notice. They don't want to be told the day of that we're going to be doing something. So that's part of communicating as well, giving a little bit of time. So with that said, the question is the following. If elected, list some communication systems that you would implement to ensure that residents are informed about the policies that impact their lives daily. And we'll begin with you, Daphne, right?
In my office, we created a program where we send notice to all residents in advance, like a week before we talk about anything. And I assigned someone in my office to call them as well. Call the residents to let them know we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we need them to participate. And I sent a robocall to let every resident know what we're going to do. If I become a mayor, I'm going to make sure the resident involved in every policy making in the city, by telephone, by email, by robocall, by social media, by every communication you know existing for the resident to be there. I need them to participate in any policy we're gonna address in the city, because they are the taxpayers. They pay us as elected officials. So why we leave them out of everything we do in the city? It's not fair. And if I become the mayor, that will change, and I'm going to make sure all the residents knew when the salary increase, when they do any changes to the city, not after 2 to 3 months, and they find out this one money increase, that was done, this was done, and the resident not involved. Enough is enough.
Alex, you heard the question all about communication. Take it where you will.
Yes, sir. In terms of communication, one of the, and I think the residents knows that I'm on top of it. Within 24 hours, someone email, call, you will get one thing from me. But obviously, there's more we have to do. We've done all of the different platforms, from now threads to anything. Obviously, we need help. It's a new day. It's AI out there, and this and that. But one of the things that I did do when I first became mayor, I put in place an information officer for the resident. And this is someone that's in the city manager's office, and any residents with issues, because there used to be and one of the issues that we had in the city of North Miami, staff or, they would not respond to residents, to business owners. And one of the first items that I put in a 48-hour reply. Once anybody, business owner or resident, will get in touch with the city of North Miami, you at least have 48 hours to at least acknowledge that email. So that communication has been, before the former manager left, I know each department has something that they check weekly to make sure. Yes, we would do the same thing that Representative Campbell talked about, the radio we've done in all 3 languages. We've done stuff, but one of the things that I would say, folks, select what to come out to. Council meeting is the same people here that's in this road. When we have a big event, you'll have these people find out, they'll come out. So I guess we just need to figure out where we can meet the residents in these different channels that they get their information from, but that is something that we are trying to drive, as all cities do, in terms of addressing communication, because it is a new era. Thank you.
Thank you. Hector, if you would.
So communication. So I know many of you here, many of you follow the city carefully, and you are informed of what they're doing. But it's not only communicating, it's that when you go to City Hall to make comments, it's like you have 2 minutes. And I don't know how that happened. It wasn't like that before. But the first thing I'll do is that I'll raise that to 5 minutes. And if you're making sense of what you're saying, you get 10 minutes. Because it is ridiculous that people are making an argument against something or in favor of something, and they get cut 2 minutes.
Can you get another mic? Turn off that mic.
So it's not a question of communicating only. It's that to listening to what people who are you communicating with are telling you, and you don't. That's the problem with the city. It's been like that in the 8 years that I've been involved with the city. They just don't. They don't want to listen. They cut you off in the middle of a sentence. So the people don't have the right, and they should, because it's a violation of the Citizen Bill of Rights what they're doing. And that's not the only violation they have. Immediately when I'm mayor, I will reverse all of them. You get to speak as long as you want.
Okay, and Naomi, if you would.
So in my opening, I mentioned to you guys that I have over 20 years of experience in business management. So whether I was managing a Don Karen store or Victoria's Secret or being a branch manager for Bank of America, when you come in, you assess the level of communication that you currently have and see how effective it is. I think that's one of the things that we need to do, right? I think the city of North Miami does a good job on social media, but it is very poor outside of social media. And we may have to go back to basics. We need town halls. We need town halls. And we need town halls in each district so that people know that once a quarter, they can come out, they can share their concerns. We have staff members there, and individuals are present to help you with your issues. Last but not least, while I've been canvassing, I started out collecting petitions. And one of the things that I realized that the people love when you come to their door. And we do this to get your vote. We come, we knock on your door, we tell you who we are, we introduce ourselves, and then after that, what happens? You never see them again. And that's something we need to change. So in order to change that, I think that we need teams that are literally on staff, and that's their job. When something new is coming out in the community, go and knock on their doors. Go and tell them what's going on. Tell them about the new initiatives. Because if that's the way that we get your vote, guess what? That's how we should communicate with you and ensure that you remain engaged. Thank you.
Right here, there's a chance. Move on. So, in the peanut gallery, or, thank you. In a baseball term, that means the back of the room, actually. It's World Series time, so you know. So, the next topic is going to be on economic development / finance. So we combine the two, and it's a short question, the first question. We have 2 minutes to answer. And if elected, what steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing and improve our credit rating? And Alex, we'll begin with you.
That was my priority one when I became mayor, was understanding that, what we have been going through for the last 8 years when I was serving the city council, because we always have to waive during budget time to use our money that was supposed to go into our reserve. So building the reserve, that's how a city get to be, like Aventura and all of these other cities that are wealthy. That's how you build wealth. It's based on your reserve. That's like your savings account. And us as government, we cannot, we don't make profits, so we need to kind of beef up in reserve just for emergency time. And in the city of North Miami, for the last almost a decade, we never, because of financial situation and financial issues that we have had in the past, we always have to waive that $5 million, which is required by law, that we put in our reserve. And when I became mayor for the first time, thank you to the council, we were able to put $2.5 million the first time. And then this fiscal year that just passed a couple weeks ago, we put in another $2.9 million. So for the first time in 10 years, over a decade, North Miami has over $5 million in the reserve. And that is an accomplishment for all of us here who love this city, should be proud of. So I think we're on a good road. Thank you.
After you know the question, you're up.
So, the city has made many mistakes, for example, the $1 the day before Thanksgiving, in a special meeting, they sold for $4 million. It was less than that, but out of shame, I guess they raised it to $4 million. Yeah, I was the only person there, and I begged them not to do that. But I tell them, if I can call some of my friends, we'll get you $7 million for that piece of property. One of the prime pieces of property of the city was given away for $4 million. And you should do your research about that particular. This building, the rental of this building was a bad deal. There is no fixing that. This is, we rent this place, hopefully we'll be able to buy it, and we're supposed to use the money of the Juan Margolis and the parks that Solemia was supposed to build. They're gone there because they're going to use, forget about building the park. We just give us the money so we can pay for the sport galleries. So this is a rental without parking. We don't. This is a building that doesn't have a parking. That parking in front where you park, that doesn't belong to the city. That big building is coming there. So the city keep making mistakes as far as raising their revenues, and the reason is that poor managerial and business decisions by the politicians, because the staff know what they're doing. If they let the staff do their job, the city will run like clockwise. But the problem is that the city is run like a boat without a compass. It's wind the other way and the wind the other way. And whoever the developer comes with, the more money, well, that's what they do.
Talk about it.
Thank you. So Naomi, you're up and putting the city on a firmer position, improving credit rating too.
So fortunate for North Miami, I'm a trained accountant. First and foremost, it's not good enough for us to just pass a budget. We have to see the budget through the entire year. And that is one of our problems, right? So you allocate funds for specific things to get done, and then throughout the year, the funds mysteriously disappear. And it goes into doing something else, like parties and special events that you've already allocated $1.3 million for.
Talk about it.
That is our problem. Somebody turn to your neighbor and say, stop wasteful spending.
Stop wasteful spending.
That's where we begin. If you actually focus on our needs, focus on service, our infrastructure, focus on things that's going to raise our quality of life, we will all be better off. It's not just about the budget.
Stop wasteful spending.
That's where we begin. If you actually focus on our needs, focus on service, our infrastructure, focus on things that's going to. Next, after you stop the wasteful spending, you stop giving up away our assets. You stop giving it away for pennies on a dollar.
Talk about it.
I've been only living here for 10 years, and I know some of you that have been living here 20, 30, 40 years. This is your children's and your grandchildren's inheritance that they're just giving away. It's not okay. And if we really want to talk about where we want to be as a city, we need to assess what we have. Hold on to it. Find out what is the best and highest use of it before we make a collective decision to sell or to retain them. Thank you.
And Daphne, the same question about putting the city on a firmer footing and improving our credit rating.
First, we need to, I would sit with the department head and review each department to find out if we overspend or if we less spend. If we have to cut, which department to make some cuts. On top of that, we could review a lot of contracts to see which one is too much money and which one is less money. And I cannot do it by myself as a mayor, because the mayor in North Miami is not a strong mayor. It's collectively with the body. We have to do it, and once that happens, we know exactly how to fix the budget.
Okay, two brief questions. We've actually kind of covered it, and we'll be done with economic development. But let's begin with you, Hector. So this time I'll actually read the question, unless you're, no. He knows it without even asking. So in recent years, we've seen parcels of city land originally slated for parks or other municipal uses turned over to private commercial development. In your view, what requirements should be included for this type of property exchange? And this is a 1-minute question.
Well, that has to be terminated immediately. We have very little property left until we make a proper assessment of what we have and how we can maximize it. It should be, just so you see, like in Miramar and Pembroke Pines. So they put these lots together. Next thing, the city wisely, invested in putting things together. They sold them, and then they got a brand new city hall with state-of-the-art everything. The taxpayers didn't have to put one penny. They did it with the wisdom of a good city manager, and now the city manager, the city hall is going to be named after the city manager. And what we need to do is let the business people that run this city, the city manager and the director do their job. That's their job. This is this is not what happened in this city. Our form of government was designed precisely for take the politicians away from these decisions. And I don't know how, neither, in the last 8 years, at least 10 years that I've been involved, it has been reverted and the politicians are the ones who control the city. It's true that this is a sub-major city, but that's not the reality.
Yeah, this is a tough one. A minute is really not a long time, but
Yeah, but
I appreciate it. You did good. Thank you. All right, Miamni, the same question about, you actually addressed it in your previous, so just to follow up on that.
Listen, we don't need to beat a dead horse here. We know exactly what's going on, okay? At the end of the day, we have representatives who makes decisions against our own interests, okay? And November 5th, we're going to choose to elect those that are going to make decisions based on our interests, based on our children's interests, and based on our grandchildren's interests. Point blank, period.
Okay, and Daphne, the same question to you. So the question is, parcels of city land originally slated for parks and municipal uses turned over to private commercial development. So what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I have to read this. The city is bleeding and crying for help for some time now. In order to restore the city back to state of stability and true sustainability, we need to ensure a strong foundation. We need to assess the bleeding, revenue leakage. We need to address the infrastructure concerns as swiftly as possible. We invest into our residents, ensure their safety and the cleanness of our community. Enough is enough. Out in the world, for a city, all the parks are private. Can you imagine? I feel depressed and I want to go to the park to get some relaxation, and guess what? It's private. November 5th, let's make that change, and our parks would be back to public as normal.
And Alex, same question for you.
God, that's a loaded question. Did the senator say, I just want to, so she said our parks are private? Well, that's news to me, but I mean, I have been on the council for 10 years.
That's the mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been on the council for 10 years. I do not know unless it's specific which property that we gave away, because it's illegal. That's number one, for us to give any property away, because there's a law. You have to, at least if you're selling it, it has to be 90%, you can't even go. And our council, I must say, they have always tried to go at 100% or more. So I don't know, and I and everybody who knows my record, I don't even like, in terms of even selling a property, but there are some instances, where it does make sense. But I could think of maybe 2 or 3 at most for the last 10 years. So in terms of these, each one is separate. So I know there's one issue that is supposed to come about a tennis court. So it's these different specific items, but we do not give away property, because if you would listen to these folks here, it's like in North Miami, the parks are private, we're giving stuff away. In the last comments, I, as somebody who's been sitting here, listen to this, I don't know what city these folks are on. Yes, we do have issue. This is crazy. I mean, seriously, as the residents of North Miami, and a city that we care about, there are important issues as far as flooding, affordable housing, real issues, but we have people sitting here talking about our parks is closed, talking about this, but this is really serious.
Make it make sense then.
Okay, thank you. If I can ask, ladies and gentlemen, I know these are interesting questions, interesting responses, and certainly understandable to have reaction, but for the best type of forum, it's if you can try and control yourself, I'd be grateful. Thank you. Thank you in advance. Follow-up question to the last one we had. So any thoughts, this is specific, any thoughts on the sale of the existing facilities, for example, like San Sisi tennis courts? And Naomi, you're up with that one.
And so it's interesting that a sitting mayor who was unelected, who served for 7.5 years as a council person, is telling us that we don't know what we're talking about when we're talking about selling off our properties for pennies on a dollar. It is very interesting. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think it's high time that we do not disrespect one another and insult one another's intelligence. People sitting here in this room have come to meetings time after time after time to stress the fact that they do not like the way that we are giving up our properties. With all due respect, sir, that is a reality. Now, the county and South Florida, we can say the entire state of Florida, has an affordability problem, and we do not have enough housing. I truly, truly believe that if we're going to work to the benefit of our community, and we're going to work for the benefit of our children, anytime we choose, or the council makes a decision to give property or to give it at a lower cost, it should benefit the people. And right now, the immediate issue is affordable housing. Thank you.
And Daphne, the same question specifically, any thoughts on the potential existing sale of facilities like the San Sisi tennis courts?
Well, the city don't have no business to sell any properties, period. And if they want to sell any properties, the residents should be involved and agree with any decision making. So therefore, I believe November 5th is coming up. Residents of the city of North Miami, you heard all. Make the decision and change what is going on now. No more property sold, no more private parks, no more floodings, no more sky-high housing. Enough is enough again. The result is in your hands. Now, until November 5th, and you will have a better city of North Miami.
All right. And Alex, the same question, which is specifically about San Sisi tennis courts.
Yeah, exactly. I knew that was coming, and I think that's what I say specifically. Going back to the point, again, I would not stand here as a sitting mayor who represent North Miami to let people come here and say anything false about the city. And everybody knows we do not have privatized parks or whatever the case is in terms of what was happening. So I have to, at least say something representing the city, because we have not done that. And when you're selling something, we always get 3 appraisals. That's the law, and we have to pick the middle one. So I know Mr. Medina had mentioned there was something about 7 million. If any of the council I heard that number, trust me, we're not stupid. I do not think that you guys would think that we are not looking for the best interest of North Miami. Yes, we may have made decisions that we all don't agree with. We get that. But I think everybody who's running is running for the right reason. But what I was saying, Madam Blamir, I was not talking about the residents. I was talking about us as people who are candidates, who are running for this higher office in our city. I was not talking about the residents. I was talking about the candidates and the statements, the remarks that they are making here in terms of what's happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Hector, the same question.
The thing about everything that is done in the city is that it's recorded. So you can go to that day, and I'll be more than glad to provide the data where I said the $7 million to the city. So it's true that the city got 3 assessments, but the assessments were 3 years old. And the thing is that the city attorney and the city manager at that point told them not to do that. You know, it was a giveaway to one of the most famous lobbyists that we have here, the ones who control the whole city. A client of him bought it. I was there, and I went because I smelled a rat. It was the day before Thanksgiving, a special meeting, and I said, no, something is going on, and I told him. The thing is that I wasn't able to reach all my friends that are in real estate and investments in Keystone and San Souci because they were on vacation. It was the day before Thanksgiving. So yes, it was a giveaway, and you can check on YouTube what happened that night. Okay.
So we've all gone, right? Okay.
But I didn't answer the question.
We'll come back, afterwards we'll come back to, we have another question, I believe our final question on economic development, kind of important to some residents, many residents in the community. And basically it's a simple one. Are you informed about the Emerald Lake Development Plan to fill in the lake for new development? And if you are, what are your thoughts? And we'll begin with you, Alex.
I am somewhat informed, and I think it's environmentally protected, right? Yeah, so I don't know if they can do it. I've heard somewhat, you know, there's some party who might be inclined in terms of doing it. They haven't approached me in terms of that, so definitely I'm opposed to it.
Okay. Okay, next is Hector.
The Emerald Lake is one of our most beautiful, pristine lakes that we have in the city. So I was in the board when the residents of Emerald Lake, led by former chief, came to us and they told us that they wanted to change the zoning. And you know, and they already have maxed out on density and height. So I told them, listen, I'm a public servant. If you want to change the zoning in your property, I have no problem with that. But I'm going to give you a fair warning about this. This is a private lake. It's a man-filled lake. It's not a natural lake. If I am a business person, and I'm very good at connecting dots, I will fill the lakes and I will put your building right there. And they said, no, it cannot be done. And then a year later, a former mayor is, you know, trying to fill the lake up. So you see, you have to, when you make decisions, you have to look in 3 dimensions to things. And that's a skill that takes many years of training to be able to do that. Surgeons have it, and cosmonauts and astronauts. To think in 3 dimensions is very hard. It's because I used to teach it. So you need somebody who can put the dots together and see a problem just before it even begins. So I warned the people that this was going to happen, and it tries to happen. Of course I oppose that, and it's never going to be done, because the problem is that you can buy the lake, but how are you going to get in and out?
Thank you.
So that property belongs to the city, the in and out, so they're never going to get it.
Thank you, Hector. And Naomi, well, same question to you about Emerald Lake development potential.
Listen, guys, the answer is simple. The people that live there say no. So as mayor, I'm gonna say no, period. You don't need to overthink these things. We are your representatives. If you say you want it, then that's what it's gonna be. If you don't want it, then that's our job, to literally reflect you, to speak up for you, not for the developers and everybody else who wants a piece of pie of North Miami.
Thank you, and Daphne, same question for you.
Easy to say.
It's simple. We cannot disturb or destroy the ecosystem. Miami already overcrowded. So therefore, we need more lakes, period.
Let the record reflect there's unanimity on this item. Everybody is opposed, and we'll hold you to it. Thank you, thank you. Next question is Arch Creek East. So let's give a little background here. Northeast 135th Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard, is home to many, many residential neighborhood homes, over 1,000 residents, and the Arch Creek East, known as Ace Preserve. The city designated Ace Preserve as a nature preserve in perpetuity and is vital for habitation restoration and flooding prevention. FIU has been, this says 15 years, it goes back to my era, a lot longer than 15 years. FIU has been trying for many years to create a second entrance to the university by going through the preserve and connecting to what is currently a dead end at the end of Northeast 135th Street. So, what are your views? And we'll begin with, Daphne, we'll begin with you on this one. So what are your views on efforts to protect the nature preserve and protecting the 135th Street residents from significant traffic situations?
Well, I remember 2014, we had this bill in Tallahassee with the same situation for 135th with issue with FIU. And the resident of North Miami did say no. And FIU wants it. Therefore, I did vote against it because I live it between FIU and the resident of North Miami to take care of it. Once they do that, whatever they do, whatever they want, and I agree, and I will be for it.
Okay.
Alex, same question for you.
Yes, when the question came up with FIU several years, I've always been opposed to it, and it's environmental. We got protected mangroves there, so it's definitely a no for me. But sadly enough, I do think the residents there, the fact that, and we got to be careful of whoever the representative is going to be in District 1, we need to make sure it's someone who's going to have the same passion that Scott Galvin has, because that's why FIU hasn't done whatever that they needed to do. Sadly enough, we need to be very, very mindful, because I think FIU and the governor, they have different plans. If we can see what they're trying to do to our park, you know, Olita River. So do not sleep on this issue, whoever's going to be the representative in District 1. This is something that we need to keep our eye open, because the Republicans, they could care less what we think down here. Thank you.
And Hector?
That's right.
I know the rep is here. And rep, so you will tell your people up there in Tallahassee, yes sir, make sure, okay, make sure they do good by us.
May I say one comment when this is done?
So let's continue. Go ahead, please.
So that's the most beautiful area of North Miami. So the thing is that for many years we've been either misled or lie, any way you want to put it. So for many years I said, well, there's no way they can take there because that road belongs to us, and they cannot make a road. But years later we found out that the road doesn't belong to North Miami, but it belongs to Miami-Dade County. So that's one thing. Two, I was there in Tallahassee when the legislation came. I was in another issue, but our lobbyists told me, listen, they're bringing legislation that affects North Miami, you should go and sit there. And I was right there when we were betrayed, you know, because, I mean, we were betrayed and it passed, you know, because you can vote no. You can vote no in a bunch of things, but if you don't defend it and you don't bring the points to defend your no vote, it's almost, you know, nothing. You know, I have seen that done in the city many times. Somebody vote no for something, and somebody vote no for something, and the other one is good cop and bad cop, and they keep playing that game. We were betraying, our lobbyists didn't do anything, they didn't warn the city or nothing. I was there. It was Puerto Rican Day, and I was trying to get funding for the families between Tampa and Orlando that they were going to get evicted from the hotels. So we needed funding, and we went. Everybody received us in Tallahassee. Everybody but one senator didn't receive us, and we went there 4 times. So you can also look that in YouTube, because I'm not here to personally attack anybody. But this is a very, very tricky situation. FIU, many of you are not aware of this. I doubt if any of you is aware. But I saw the plan they have. I saw it with my eyes. There is a big hotel that is coming there, and there is a big medical school that is coming there, and they need access to 135. So the only way to prevent that is to put something there so they cannot, unless they make a tunnel, and I have several things on mine, and I'm working with the people that work on the preserve, Sam, and the other one, Sam has a plan, and I'm not about to reinvent the wheel. He has a good plan with a good building, that will be, a wild kind of center, where kids can go and learn about nature. So we have to defend that with cape and spade.
Okay. Miamni, did you have a chance at this? You're gonna do it right now. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but recently a kid died with someone speeding over there. And so I just want you guys to understand that there is more at stake when we change the landscape of our city. As a member of the Planning Commission, I've always listened to the residents. And with this issue, I will continue to listen to the residents. Yes, as Dr. Medina stated, they have plans, but guess what? We have voices, and our voice is our power. And to the extent that we could extend that power to our vote and make sure that we have the right people representing us, for this generation, whatever plans they have, it's not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, so the final question before our closing comments relates to the administration. Couple things about the city that I will repeat. We joked about Republican and Democrat. We're nonpartisan, so we're all Democrats, we're all Republicans, we're all independents. We're American, exactly. We're all residents of the city of North Miami. We're nonpartisan. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, I know this is a critical position that we're voting for, but until it is changed, and there's been thoughts about changing it, we are a city manager form of government. So the city manager is the key administrator in the city, and that relates to our last question. City manager. How can we hire the best city manager? What qualifications do you believe are necessary to do the job? What do you see as their primary role? And how can you assure us residents that transparency in every aspect of the manager's job will be maintained? And we'll begin with you, Naomi, to start this out.
Okay, so give me the specific questions. How do we?
So the bottom line is, city manager. City manager is the head of the government. How can we maintain that correct position? The mayor is not the head, the city council is not the head, the city manager is the head. And also be transparent about it. And this question, I'll add this question came about because recently we had a change, as you all know, in the city manager. Many residents weren't happy with that. Some were, many residents were not. So that's why emphasis on the city manager. You can really take the question where you want.
Thank you so very much for the question. So in my experience of being in management, I've hired hundreds of people. I mean, from the top of the chain all the way down to the janitor. I think the first step to hiring the right person is to have a pool of people to choose from, right? We have a charter, we know what the responsibility of a city manager is. That it is going to be the responsibility of every person on that dais to ensure that the application process is respected. Now, a lot of people won't say this, but part of the reason that the city manager who was here before had an issue is because there was never a process to hiring her. I'm gonna tell you like it is. Because if you don't do things the right way from the beginning, then you're going to have problems all along the way. So the first thing we're going to do is put a process in place on how we're going to choose the next one. That's number one. Number two, we're going to bring it down to the top 3 qualified candidates to become the city manager. And then, because the public had such a huge opinion, ask you guys, what did you like so much about Rasha, right? Because so many of you liked her. What did you like so much about her? So we can ensure that the person that we do bring in has some similar characteristics. Let's balance things out a little bit. And last but not least, once we hire him or her, allow them to do the job. Get our hands out of the day-to-day functions of the city manager. Let them do the job. And to the extent that we don't agree with them, that doesn't mean that, they get fired. That just means on this situation, we don't agree, and next time, we'll do better. Thank you.
Thank you. And Daphne, the same question to you about the role and how would you go about reflecting the city manager's position in the city? Yes.
I am a registered nurse. I remember a few years ago, I owned a clinic with over 100 employees, and I had to have a manager. What we did, we put a bid out there to get the most qualified person, and you have to have a master's degree or a doctor. So we have qualification process before I choose who gonna manage a clinic with 100 employees. The city of North Miami have more employees than that. Therefore, they should have a bid, number one, the qualification of that, for the manager to be, and included the residents with the process. You don't go and choose anyone you want to be manager because they are their friend or somebody recommend them. You don't go and take anyone here and say, I want you to be manager. That's not the way it is. You have to choose the most qualified person to manage, and on top of that, the manager is the head. We as a mayor or the council cannot say we want to do this, we want to do that. We have to go with the manager, and the manager at the same time, she knows or he knows the budget. If you want to overspend, if she says no, we don't have no money, we need to follow. But if I become the mayor, I will make sure we choose the right manager with the most experienced qualification to manage the city of Miami.
Same question doesn't need repetition, Alex, for you.
Yes, sir. I hired Rasha, and since being on the council, I think I'm up to my 7th manager. Everything they say sounds good, but the practical thing is, it's a political job in terms of when you do hire a city manager. Yes, people would like to do, there is a process, but at the same time, it may not be a process. It may be I like this person, as long as 3 people like them, that's how it goes. I've seen it like that, and I've seen the process. I've done both. It's basically based on the council, and Mr. Mayor, we could nominate someone, but I look for integrity. I look for somebody who's going to be transparent. I look for somebody, because I do not play, and I think people know that about me. One thing, you do not have to like me. You don't have to agree with me. But if you give me one task, it's going to get done. And since I've been on that council, that's all I've been doing, working for the city of North Miami. So when I selected Rasha, people thought that was my friend because we had previous relationship with the CRA. Rasha knew everybody from the council, and it had nothing to do with friendship or anything like that, because at the time I was her boss. So she had to deliver, and that's what it's about, working for the people. And people in this room, every single one of you who's been involved in North Bay for the last 10 years, you know one thing about me. I am very predictable, and you all know that. You all know when I'm at the council meeting how I go, and when I'm not. Sometimes I try to change it, but that's who I am. I cannot change it. So I do look for somebody with integrity, impeccable, integrity that the community is going to look at. Not somebody that's going to be a yes man or no man. Rasha and I, we have had several fights. behind closed door. And every single manager, from Alim Ghani to Annabelle Emmanuel, you could go and ask them. Every Tuesday I go in there to do my job. I go in, I say what I want, next Tuesday, I need these things done, and call it off. That's what it is. It's not a love relationship, it's a business, and it's the business taking care of the people of North Miami.
Thank you, Alex. Hector,
Yes.
you know that you made a question.
Our form of government is very clear. The reason we have a city manager and a weak mayor is because back in the day, in Galveston, Texas, there was a hurricane, a lot of people died, and it was a disaster. But more people died after the hurricane because the politicians didn't know what to do. They were not professionals. They are not trained in emergency procedures. They don't know anything about nothing. They're politicians. They're not leaders. A leader is quite different than a politician. Politicians are just elected officials. So the problem in this city is that the person that supervises the city managers is only the city mayor. So I told you that I can connect dots. I am very good at that. So if I'm the city manager and the only person who supervises me is the mayor, and not only the city manager, the mayor is the only person who supervises the city attorney. So no, it has to be the supervision has to be from the 5 members of the council, not with one. Because if you're an employee, like a city manager or a city, you're going to cater to the person who's going to be responsible for your salary increases and your package of benefits and your 401k and your card and your phone and your expensive, drinking checks, or coffee, whatever is your preference. But this is the thing. The thing is that we have to take, there is a process, but they don't follow it. They hire, I seen what they did to Ghani and it's all the way to now. So the city manager, this position is crying for a national research, search for a good city manager. And I will go one step further. I will hire a headhunter to find us a good city manager, and then at least 3, and then with the input of the people, some people could go and sit down on the interview and ask the city manager, and they should have a voice on the selection of a manager. It cannot be, it's a simple 3 votes for a friend. No, we need to find a good city manager because we pay them real well because they're professionals and they're very well trained to do what they do. So one thing is running the daily operations of the city, another thing is to bring legislation. The city manager has to be independent and autonomous, and I will suggest to have a 5-year contract that will preclude the politicians from firing somebody just because they didn't approve 100,000 for this or 100,000 for that.
Thank you. Actually, one last question that just needs really just a yes or a no. I kind of know it'll be a yes, but we're going to do it anyways. Just get everybody on the record here. So the city receives funding, can receive funding, I should say, from the county, from the state, and from the federal government. So if elected, do you pledge that you will do everything possible to solicit and receive funds from the county, from the state, and from the federal government?
Yes, for you.
Specifically me.
Okay. We have a yes from Daphne, and Hector will go down the line.
Of course, I'll work with anybody.
Thank you.
Since Mayor, I've awarded over $20 million in North Miami. So yes, and I'm coming for you. Yes, sir.
Okay, Naomi.
Absolutely.
There we go. Another perfect 4-0 score. I like that. So now we're actually, we appreciate everybody indulging us. We're at the end of our forum, and probably the most important part, and that is the closing comments, where the candidate is free to advocate in any way, shape, or form for their election that's coming up shortly. And we encourage everybody, please, to vote. So we're going to go the opposite way. So Hector, you're first this time.
So, my name is Hector Medina, and I'm running for mayor because I have 52 years of experience of being out there, dealing with mentally unstable people, working in jails, working in all sorts of jobs, and dealing with monsters you don't even know exist. So I have supervised directly 28 people, and I run very successful clinics, and I establish programs all over states agencies and international agencies. So I am the older of 5 children, the son of a school teacher and an executive, as I mentioned before. But more than that, I have studied all my life, and I still read 10 books a week. I love studying. I started studying when I met my wife on the 10th grade. We've been together 52 years, and she was the best student, and I was the worst student. So, that didn't match. I only want to play ball. I play very well baseball and tennis. I am very competitive, and I will do a great job for this city because all my life, this is the combination of a whole life of studying, working, and serving. Because it is in my family for 5 generations, from World War I all the way to the Gulf where my son was, to my nephews that are right now, deployed all over this country. And I come from the oldest city in this country, and we have served this country for 5 generations. So you may think about that I have an accent. For me, you are the ones with the accent. But this is the thing that I'm going to present to you as an alternative. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. The school teacher looked like me. The principal looked like me. The priest looked like me. And the judge and the governor looked like me. So I didn't grow up as a minority, and I don't feel less than anybody. That's what I'm running for.
Thank you very much. Alex, your comments.
Thank you. My name is Alex Desune, mayor of the great city of North Miami, a 32-year resident of the great city of North Miami, proud graduate of North Miami Middle and North Miami Senior High School, been elected for the past 10 years, was first elected as city clerk and been serving the city for the last decades. Yes, this job is about caring for people. And ever since my whole career, from being a school teacher to now, it's always about the people. And I want to say thank you to North Miami, because without District 4, I would not be here, standing here. But over the last 10 years, if you look at the legislation that I've championed, if you look at the things that I have passed and I've worked on, it's all about how do we improve the lives of the residents of this great city of North Miami. In these next 2 years, I'm the only one with a bold agenda to continue what I have been working on, our financial stability, to increase our revenue, to work with police. That's why I have the PBA endorsement, and all of the union and every single organization who have endorsed in this race endorsed me, not for anything, because I have a track record and I have the experience and I know City Hall in and out. And I'm lucky to be the only 2 people, I think 3 in North Miami history, to have served all 3 positions, whether it's clerk, councilman, and now as mayor. This job, again, is about you going home and going to sleep, making sure the person at City Hall is somebody you could trust. You don't have to like me, but you want to make sure that person you could trust, and that person is going to work for you every day. And that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years, and I want to continue doing that for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And Daphne, your closing comments.
My name is Daphne Campbell. Yes. I live in the city of Miami for 37 years. I have 5 children, grew up in the city. I am a registered nurse for 43 years, and I've been in Tallahassee for 8 years, and I'm the first Haitian state senator in the state of Florida. I have the proven records. I'm running for North Miami for several reasons. Very simple. Housing is too high. Flooding issues. We have The water bill now is 8.4%, storage 8.6%. We need affordable housing. When you say affordable, affordable need means affordable. People complaining, paying 1 or 2 bedroom, $2,000 to $3,000. Owners now insurance dropping you out because of the flooding issues. I'm wanting to help the youths, the seniors, and to have another change in the city. Election started already today. People are voting, and you are the only one who can make the change is the residents. Vote, vote, vote for the only experienced, qualified, competent, trustworthy Senator Daphne Campbell, number 1 vice president.
Miamni?
As I was sitting there, I thought about what should be my closing argument. And I want to talk about transparency. And I want to talk about honesty. And I want to talk about leaders that don't fake the funk, but tell you who they really are, where they come from, where they're going, and where they would like to take you. In 2019, here in the city of North Miami, my husband was indicted and started to serve time in federal prison. At that time, I could have packed my bags and I could have gone back to the state that I came from, or just north. But I made the decision to stay right here in the city of North Miami. And while he served time, I chose to serve the people. In 2022, I became the first woman of color, the first Haitian American in the state of Florida to run statewide for Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Throughout 67 counties, everyday Floridians grabbed onto my message and they voted for me. I won the primary and went on to the general election and got over 3 million votes. We're not looking for another politician. We're not looking for another person telling you they brought billions of dollars and we can't see it. And we're definitely not looking for a good-hearted mayor who circumvented the will of the people to give himself 18 months. That's what we're not doing. And while people want to talk about leading, one of my opponents was my first endorsers because I talked to him about my heart for the Latin community and how I would like to serve them and ensure that they have a seat at the table. Shortly thereafter, he came to me and told me his people told him to run too. This is really what is happening. Our democracy is on the ballot, transparency is on the ballot, and the lives of our children is on the ballot. I have an 8-year-old son, and I'll be damned if 20 years from now, he does not have a space in the city of North Miami. Come November 5th, 2024, I pledge to you that you vote me in, you will not be disappointed.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it before 9 o'clock. A big round of applause for all of them.
Yes.
But problem common na David lah. Yeah, bisa ke dua puasa. Kau lot miko ah. Kau lot miko ah. Sa kau no, sa miko sa puasa. Kau lot miko sa pun lot miko. No, kau de. No, c'est ça de bail.
Bonsoir tout le monde.
Saya pun miko, saya pun sa. Ya, o kapan. Bali ba ko dito na sa. Non, sta trabalho.
Oh, bem, ok. Não, já vim lá.
Tá bem, got it.
Yeah.
Ya, sta trabalho.
Vamos para dar. É bem-vindo, senhor.
Tanda mpaka wesa. Base sa kon lot miko. What ba gen moun la?
Non, Daphne Mapton avec...
Ok, ke ba mi se fè nan atono, ba gen moun. We live. Yeah.
Yes.
Miami. Vous mettez toutes factions. Je parle de clair. Moi, j'ai expérience dans la ici. Je porte l'argent pour eux vraiment. Même si vous voulez deny it is true. It's public records. Go on the online, il y a pour eux. So therefore, le public là connaît très très clair. Ça qui a passé. Et puis, 7 novembre, nous venons là, il y a un choix. Puis on choisit qui moun yo vle qui dirige notre Miami. Moi dis tout le monde voter 157 Daphne Kembo pour continuer bel travail. Moi j'ai commencé à faire, m'a fait et je vais continuer à faire.
Voilà, donc nous parlons de l'autre candidat, et Dr. Alex Desulme. Comment nous y est après débat, qui satisfaction, qui sentiment?
Oui, mais ouais, tout le monde qui a parlé, qui était là, qui a regardé le débat, qui côté nous avons une opportunité pour nous réellement la plateforme nous, pour qui ça, je pense que tout le monde qui a un doute de candidature Alex Desulme, que nous connaissons les choses et nous connaissons tapé et nous pour qui ça nous besoin en l'autre 2 ans.
Donc moi, il y a des moments forts dans le débat. Par exemple, il y a des débats où moi, il y a l'autre opponent qui a dit, moi, de temps en temps, c'est pas qui est étonnant ou bien, ou pas de connaître ou bien ça qui passe.
Non, je ne vais pas quitter n'importe opponent venir à mentir, à parler n'importe quoi. Que c'est moi seul comme les gens qui sont dans la ville là. Oui, je comprends que nous avons un petit problème dans la ville là. Problème, toute l'autre ville gagne. Mon pas qu'à venir pour faire accusation que la ville là pas que fait, mais c'est pas privé. Nous pas ça, c'est pas public lié. So grand pays une information comme c'est pour débalder, même obligé comme monde qui dans le gouvernement pour me réellement faire connaître la vérité.
Très bien. Maintenant, premier jour, elle voting là, était environ 13 jours qui message avec les gens qui va voter à Alex Desulme et puis avec les résidents qui ont dirigé.
Oui, le message là, c'est voter Alex Desulme pour continuer, pas seulement pour l'expérience, mais pour ça, me montrer, ça me fait. Tout le monde a montré là, et l'on bien regardé, l'on regarde la plateforme, l'on regarde l'agenda, l'on regarde tout le bagage, et même sur la question des water plants, il y a un bagage qui est plus gros pour nous. C'est obligé de projet de travail que si on prend pouvoir, qu'on va le mettre ensemble. Que nous avons parlé de 250 millions de dollars qui nous travaillent sur lui. So, nous avons pile bagaille, je pense que la population connaît. Pour ça que par contre, nous disons que nous avons fait de 15 jours. Non, 13 jours, parce que nous avons même compté 5 ans que pour nous réellement sortir dehors pour voter pour Alex Desulme.
Merci, Abilmire.
Merci.
Voilà, donc c'est la guerre des idées, c'est la confrontation des plans, la confrontation des projets. Côté chaque candidat vraiment se présenter plein yo, qui viennent avec des idées, qui viennent avec des chiffres. Et c'est ça qui est important, qui est extrêmement important. Nous allons parler avec Naomi Blemur. Nous prenons Naomi Blemur. Donc, faire Naomi Blemur venir pour nous capables faire même en 2 minutes, pour nous capables justement garder et avec chaque là, comment ça t'est. Et on nous aller vite parce qu'il faut que chaque on a 2 minutes, 2 bonnes minutes. Donc, très bien, donc nous en direct sur BPI TV Réseau et puis sur Radio Touché Douce, en direct pour nous permettre de suivre gros débat qui sont faits en différents candidats, en différents justement et qui sont présentés plan yo avec programme yo, plan avec programme yo pour City. Pour City, Naomi Blemur, en pile monde bat gros bravo pour lui. Naomi, bonsoir, qui sentiment, débat fini.
Ah bon, débat fini et moi dis bon Dieu merci parce que il m'a courage premièrement pour me dire ça que t'es sous cœur moi, deuxièmement pour me dénoncer ça qu'a fait dans ville là que moi-même moi pas content et moi connais que en pile de résidents qui étaient là tout, yo pas satisfait avec eux. Ensuite pour moi-même pour me dire mais qui j'aime pas délivrer pour vous. Et moi, je veux tout le monde connaît que lorsqu'on leader, c'est pas veut dire que ou vit une vie qui parfait. C'est pas veut dire que toute décision prend li bon, mais lorsqu'on leader, ou travaille pour peuple là, ou assurer que toute décision prend by peuple là, une possibilité pour yo gagner une meilleure vie. Et moi crois et assoya c'est ça yo trouvé dans main Naomi Esther Blemur.
Pendant plusieurs moments dans le débat, nous on parlé de urgence, nécessité, besoin peuple là, on parlait de pas de question que vous n'avez gagné en pile comme dans la réserve pendant que nous avons souffert. Maintenant, est-ce que quelque part il y a des projets qui l'autre candidat a gagné ou pensez que qui est capable d'utiliser sur une meilleure ou capable de travailler sur lui avec?
Bien sûr.
Ou connaît villa gon staff de plus de 700 moun qui travaillent. Moun ça c'est professionnel yo fait étude, yo gen étude y a fait tout temps. Donc moi même l'aime pral entrer, on va dire tout ça que moi joine pas bon, on pral garder ça qui get des bonnes qualités, ça que nous ka travaille sur yo immédiatement pour nous ka joindre un résultat pour peuple là. Peuple a souffri, l'on magistrat qui pas élu, qui était là, il était servi 7 ans et demi comme consul pour dire que ou gon réserve de 5 millions de dollars et puis peuple a souffri, business owners a souffri, ou pas qu'à dire ça c'est succès. Oui, ou gon responsabilité pour gon réserve, mais en même temps, ou gon responsabilité pour répondre à besoin business owners pour répondre avec résidents qui besoin et affordable housing pour répondre avec Simon Petit qui besoin programme after school. Faut que on balance et moi crois que peuple là ouais avec Naomi Esther Blemire balance n'a fait.
Très bien. Maintenant un message pour moun qui va voter Naomi yo pour venir next mayor of North Miami ou encore pour toutes jeunes puisque moi discours basé sur nous generation qui ça message là.
Premièrement parle avec mesdames yo. Moi connais nous. Moi comprendre nous et me parler pour me travailler pour nous. En pile nan nous même gen ti moun sans papa nan kay la, nous besoin aide. En pile nan nous même papa nan kay la, mais n'a fait 2 jobs, nous pas là pour ti moun yo. En pile nan nous même nous gen business, nous gen idée que nous ta remen établi un business dans North Miami, mais nous pas gen moyen. Moi dou avec Naomi Esther Blemire, ou ap jeune possibilité yo. Ensuite tout senior citizen yo, ti mami, ti papi, gele le yo di yo pral mene nou nan cruise, mais ou fait 4 jours dans cruise là qu'on dit moun yo di a bien manger et pour tout reste année yo par contre qui jonye avec Naomi Esther Blemire. Oui, n'a gen possibilité pour faire voyage, mais n'a assuré chaque jour besoin qu'on gagne yo, nous répondre avec yo. Et puis là n'a pas les affaires de gaspiller l'argent. Coupez ça, nous ne pouvons pas continuer avec ça encore. Nous pas travailler pour le peuple là, n'a pas assuré que nous avons l'argent en réserve, n'a pas assuré que business yo joine possibilité pour yo faire business et n'a pas assuré ni nettoyer ville là pour ville là car une belle ville, une ville de propreté et l'autre monde qui a passé là-dedans pour dire aïe, m'ta remè vivre dans ville North Miami. 5 novembre 2024, n'a fait histoire dans North Miami, n'a élu une femme vaillante. 3e femme qui pourra monter comme magistrat ville North Miami. Femme ça, c'est Naomi Esther Blemire. Merci beaucoup.
Voilà, donc c'était Naomi Esther Blemire. Faut dire débat de 2 femmes, 2 garçons là-dedans qui étaient extrêmement chauffés avec respect. Avec respect une pour l'autre, nous c'est un débat qui a en pile convivialité, qui a en pile fair play politique, donc qui permet que nous-mêmes nous sommes capables de suivre le débat qui fait à soir dans Scott Galvin Center. Donc c'est là nous fin découvrir candidat nous et nous avons gagné 13 jours pour nous voter donc nous présentation chaque plan chaque eh bien reste de voir dans nous vote dans nous. Nous sommes sur BPI TV réseau chaîne 18.6 sur Radio Touché Douce Live, channel 90.1 avec DJ Paz et puis Sonny Belle en forme. Présentateur c'était Gauthier Bernard. Au revoir et à la prochaine.